Welcome to Bruce's State of the Watch collection, August of 2020. I'm going to show you each one of the watches in my watch box in my rotation. I'll put the going rate on the screen, not necessarily the retail price or what I paid, but what I could sell them for, so you guys can see what my collection is valued at, and also how the watches are running. I'm going to place them on the Timegrapher and talk a little bit about each one of the pieces. Now, I love my watches individually. I love my collection. I'm partial to sport watches, as you guys will see. But I don't think I have a very diverse collection, and I'm not particularly happy with it as a whole, even though I have some awesome individual units. So guys, this is going to be changing. I have an ever-evolving collection as I go on my journey, my watch journey, and add more pieces, add more versatility, and get to a place where I'm more excited about it. Now that being said, let's jump into it. I'm going to start by showing you guys my GShocks here. Now, it's been said that GShocks don't necessarily count as members of your watch collection just because they're so different. They're so different than the mechanical and automatic watches that make up the bulk of our own rotations. But I want to show you these. I love this square. I love this design from the early 1980s. It's bold, it's functional. I think it's ugly, but it's beautiful, if that makes sense. It's kind of an oxymoron, but such a great design. I have the limited edition NASA version that has gone up in price and popularity. It sold out within, I think, a number of hours when it first debuted. This one is a really fun one, even though technically it's not really that impressive. The other two are solar. They're atomic syncing. They have more presence, especially the Bling Master, the 5000, the metal one. This one is so tacky, so quirky, so silly. My wife calls it my stupidest watch, but one of my most enjoyable. And this is my 49ers watch. Every time they play, I've got to wear the Bling Master. And then the Stealth. This one is great. Been on a lot of adventures with this watch. It has the combi bracelet, which is very comfortable and was a gift from my friend Random Rob. So I really do enjoy this. I love my GShocks. I use them to set the time on my automatic pieces, and let's jump into those. I'll start with my Seikos. I've got two in the collection right now, and I know some of you are going, "What, Bruce? What happened to this watch? What happened to that watch?" Well, I flipped them. I sold them. That's what happened. Again, I'm always evolving. I'm always moving. I'm always trying new watches. Sometimes it's hard to let go of some, but there's always one around the corner. And I'm going to be buying two more as soon as they're available. The 62 MAS reissue and the Captain Willard reissue. Both of them right around $1,200. I'm excited to add those and check them out, try them out, video them, and see if any of them stick. Right now I've got two. The Blue Coral Sumo, the SBDC 069. This one is awesome. It's quirky though, it's weird. It has the big, bold, silly font. It has the Hardlex crystal. It has the lowest amplitude out of all of my watches. Pretty poor beat error, but very consistent at +2 seconds per day. And I love the consistency. I love the beautiful blue. I don't wear this that often. I should wear it more. The last time I wore this was a camping trip my family took to Yellowstone, but it is a great piece. The other one is the new 40mm 5KX with the stainless steel bezel. This one is a bit more diminutive of a wear, but a great timekeeper, +1 second per day consistently, and very versatile. This one is a gorgeous dial combination, and I enjoy wearing it. Now let's go to the Yema. This is the Superman Heritage 39mm. This one is running very well for the Solita, a little bit of beat error, nice strong amplitude at over 300, and running a little slow at -3 seconds per day. I love the retro design elements here. I love the size, the presence on wrist. This thing has a good it factor to it, and the blue kind of borders on lavender. It's a really unique shade. Now let's go to the other blue watch. This is the most recent acquisition in my collection, the Oris Aquis Lake Baikal. And as you guys can see, again, it shares the same movement as the Yema. This one, good amplitude, no beat error, but +8 seconds per day, sometimes +10 seconds per day, which is a bit disappointing on a watch that generally you spend around $2,000 for. And That's my big complaint with Oris. I'd like them to tidy up their accuracy and not just give us base grade Solitas. But this thing is beautiful. I have number 242 of 1,999. And this one's special because my wife likes this watch, and she rarely likes the sport watches that I show her. Because she genuinely thinks this is a beautiful watch, I like it that much more, because when I gauge the time on my wrist, I think of my wife, and that's always a nice thing. So this one has some sentimental value. Even though I'm in the honeymoon phase right now, I reach for this over the Blue Coral Sumo and over the Yema, and I can see that continuing in the future just because my wife loves this watch, and that makes me love it a little bit more, as silly as that sounds. Now let's go to the more luxury priced watches in the collection. I've got 2 Omegas and 3 Rolexes. We'll start with the Omegas. The Sapphire Sandwich. I had the fear of missing out with this one. I know Omega will be updating it very soon, and I didn't want to be the last guy to the party. I didn't want to be left out not having a Sapphire Sandwich, so I picked one up fairly recently. This one is so great. I love wearing it. I love the history. I love the design. I have very little complaints about this watch. Even though it's not technically a very luxurious watch, even though it carries a high price point, it's a beauty, it's a classic, and has great amplitude, no beat error, and is my worst performer in terms of accuracy at plus 10 seconds per day. Now the other one, the other Omega, is the Seamaster Professional with the ceramic dial, ceramic bezel, in the chrome dial variation, which is so dynamic. When I first saw pictures of the Seamaster, the new updated Seamaster, I thought this was the ugliest color version. I was all about the black, then I was all about the white, but the more I've looked at it, the more I think this is the most dynamic and the most beautiful of the lot, and I really enjoy it. Screaming amplitude, a little bit of beat error, and not very accurate when it's dial up. This thing runs pretty well if you leave it in a winder or if you're always wearing it, but if you let it sit in the watch box, it's going to be 8 to 10 seconds fast per night. So that's a bit disappointing, but it's a great watch. Now let's go to the Rolexes here. I've got 3 different ones, and they all make use of the Rolex corporate green color. Some of them a little subtle, like the GMT Master 2. Some a little bit more bold, like the Air King and Unique. And then the other one, the Hulk, right in your face. Sunray green, and such a beauty. So I like the fact that they all kind of work with each other with that color. And as you guys can see, they're running well, plus 3 seconds per day with the GMT Master 2. A little bit of beat error, nice strong amplitude. I love the true GMT feature here in the movement. I love the fact that this is a little bit more dressy with the polished center links, even though they show wear and tear a little bit more. It's just a great watch, and it will only become more collectible because Rolex will never do the all black again. All the new GMT Master 2s from here on out will be a bicolor execution, so this classic black I think will be a great one to have in future years. Now the Air King, this one is got the poorest amplitude, the poorest beat error of my Rolexes, but very consistent with the timekeeping. It's usually spot on, up to 2 seconds per day fast, so it's a great performer. And this is another quirky one. It has got its own identity, love it or hate it. Even though this shares the same case, the same Faraday shield, the same movement, the same dimensions as the more expensive Milgauss, this one feels like its own identity, and it's so out there, it's so different. I definitely think this will become a collectible one day, and people will kick themselves for not picking up an ugly Air King at retail price when they had the opportunity. I really do love this oddball. Now the last watch is the Hulk. This one is the most desirable watch, the most popular watch in my collection. It has appreciated in value and will continue to do so, especially with Rolex rolling out the new Submariner on September 1st. So this one is about to become stupid priced. It's already going up. There's people already asking $17,000 for a $10,000 watch. Well, actually, I paid $10,000 with tax. It was actually, I think, $93.50 retail. But that aside, this is so lovely, so dynamic, so beautiful. And if I had to sell or give away all of the watches in my collection, save for one, I think I would keep the Hulk. And not because it's the most desirable, it has the most appreciation. I just think it's the most visually interesting. It's a joy to wear, super comfortable, adjustable, and is my best performer when it comes to movement. No beat error, great amplitude, and just about spot on every day. People comment that Omega bring the best movements to the table. They're Metis master chronometer movements, but I found through my experience, nothing has been able to consistently beat the 3135. It's just a great movement, and I feel very fortunate to have the Hulk. It's a gorgeous watch. So guys, that's my collection. Let's wrap it up. So you guys have seen my collection. Where do I go from here? Well, I really am enthralled by the idea of one watch per brand. So I have a really powerful, versatile collection of icons from multiple brands. So I could see myself going down to one Rolex, going down to one Omega, one Seiko, adding a Vacheron Constantin, adding a Cartier, adding a Panerai. I could see myself really kind of branching out, diversifying, and really enjoying that. I know some guys really just like collecting divers, or they like collecting Seikos, or they like collecting Rolex, or micro brands, or blue watches. I don't think there's really a right way to go about this hobby other than do what you enjoy and what brings you happiness as a watch fan. So I'm gonna chase that dream. There will be changes. I will be letting go of awesome watches at some point, but there's always something around the corner, and that's one of the things I love about this hobby. So stay tuned to see where it goes. Thanks for watching today, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.